Does Super Don't Call Me Marlo Mario even need an introduction? He's no Blinks the Time Sweeper, sure, but it can be daunting for any Mario video ever to sum up arguably the most iconic video game character in history, aside from the baby people in BioShock Infinite, of course. Why do they look like that? More than that though, Mario continues to be as relevant as ever, with a massively successful theatrical film release, new games on the horizon, and the character remaining Nintendo's first and foremost mascot character. Our apologies to Ice Climber 1 and or 2. This funny little dude has been a fixture across every Nintendo console, appearing in just about every type of video game you can imagine. He hasn't yet appeared in an actual plumbing simulation game though, which is deeply upsetting. Exactly how many Mario games are there then? That varies depending on what you include, but the number of games simply featuring Mario in some form numbers in the hundreds. We're not gonna cover all of those because only a lunatic would do that, though we could be convinced down the line if this video gets 250 likes, maybe? But right now we are going to look at the very best games with the plump plumber at the centre of the adventure. So that means no Mario Kart, no Mario Party, no Dream Mario, a Mario dating simulator, no I have no mouth and I must Mario, or anything along similar lines. It must be a narrative adventure starring the greatest fictional Italian hero since Rocky Balboa or Giorno Giovanna. With that in mind, crack open your coldest dungarees and chow down on the ripest mushroom you can find as we reel off the best Mario games ever made as we celebrate Mario Day. That's so clumsy, isn't it? By the way, did anyone notice how I pronounced it both Mario and Mario already?
I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
Just a quick one before we get into the list, we are offering a free Steam key for anyone who comments 30k gang down below, so do that down below and you can get a free Steam key. That's how business works. Number 20, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Combining turn-based RPG elements with the normal magical expectations for a Mario adventure, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga proved to be a great, unique addition to the Game Boy Advance in 2003. From visuals that evoked Mario yet felt quite different from anything made before, to the consistent but accessible challenge of controlling both Mario and Luigi across this unique little gem, Superstar Saga was a breath of fresh air more than 20 years ago. Oh, that hurts to hear. That hurts to hear a lot. In the present, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is still loads of fun. The main quest itself is quite beefy for the GBA, and the game maintains a sense of wonder and charm that never overstays its welcome. The sense of humour present in Superstar Saga is also to be appreciated, with character-driven humour and moments of crazy silliness, particularly in some of Luigi's cutscenes, the big goof. This is a cute game with more depth than you might think, but it's still fun to pick up and play, even today. Number 19, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. With the 1993 release of Super Mario All-Stars, fans finally had a chance to play the original sequel to Super Mario Bros., dubbed The Lost Levels, for its Western release. Perhaps wanting to show off a visually stronger game for the 1989 sequel the West did receive, combined with the belief that the 1986 Japan-only sequel would be too difficult for players outside of its native Japan, is one of the reasons for why players waited nearly a decade for this game. Honestly, while a significantly fun and relatively much more challenging game than the 1985 Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels is not nearly as good as Super Mario Bros. 2, but this is still a deeply satisfying Mario game for those who want to play what is basically some Mario B-sides. Granted, it's the We Will Rock You of video game B-sides, but still, just be wary of how tough the Lost Levels can still be to this day. You might lose your head a little. Number 18, New Super Mario Bros. The 2006 release of New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS was something special at the time. It would be Mario's first 2D adventure in some 15 years, but with a wide number of twists to the formula. Those twists do pay off, with New Super Mario Bros. Offering a wide offering of surprises as you stomp through levels that are familiar in many cases, but not too familiar, with the game working wonders to show just how genius Nintendo's two-screened little marvel could be. New Super Mario Bros. Started a new run of games that further explored what then modern technology could do with a formula that made Nintendo into a giant, with plenty of innovations to boot when it came to things like handheld audio and versus mode. This first effort at a time when nostalgia for classic gaming started to seriously pick up steam would be dramatically improved upon later, but New Super Mario Bros. Still stands among the best Mario games ever made, and it's probably one of the better places to start for younger players. Number 17, Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins. The enduring appeal of Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins comes down to the game being an improvement on everything Super Mario Land tried to do. In terms of its mechanics and graphics, 6 Golden Coins is unquestionably an early 90s Mario title. And yet the worlds Mario must travel to in order to collect, hold on to your red cap here, this might upset you a little bit, 6 Golden Coins are unlike anything players had seen by this point. From its enemies to the layouts of the levels themselves, Mario truly feels like a stranger in a strange land here. I mean, even the middle aisle of an Aldi would be a strange land for a short Italian plumber who sees more stars than Nemesis at a comic convention to be in, but I digress. At the same time, the game doesn't make you do anything that would be unusual in one of his platformers. You're not piloting a ship as in the first Super Mario Land, for example. Everything around you is just very different from the norm, with new elements, characters and challenges within the range of what you're expecting. There's something pretty charming about such a successful execution of a platonic ideal, and 6 Golden Coins is pretty charming indeed. I'd buy that for one of 6 golden coins. That doesn't quite work, does it? Oh well. On to the next one.
I'd buy that for $1.
Number 16, Super Mario Sunshine. It's at this point worth bearing in mind that even at number 16, we're talking about some of the greatest games of all time. We still love Sunshine, just in different ways. Perhaps no other game in the mainline Super Mario franchise is more difficult to like at times than Super Mario Sunshine. That's because this GameCube ray of light and occasional slice of depression, which sees you using FLUDD to clean up a tropical paradise, has oodles of originality, style, humour and many other qualities that make up Mario's most essential outings. It's just that the other crucial components to a good Mario game, particularly the gameplay itself, are at times broken on a fundamental level. Get ready for new levels of frustration over things that aren't your fault. Questionable physics and brutally challenging moments aside, Super Mario Sunshine is still worth your time, even if you never caught it the first time around on the GameCube. Even if you wind up seeing the game as a failure, as some do, it's an interesting failure nonetheless, and you won't be sorry you took the time to discover that for yourself. Just keep the blood pressure meds handy for the Sandbird level. I won't go back. You can't make me. I've lived too long to go back to that. Number 15, Paper Mario. Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64 wasn't the true sequel to Super Mario RPG that fans were hoping for. Operating as more of a spiritual successor to that classic, this unusual 64-bit era Mario game would prove to have more going for it than some of the most interesting visuals the console would ever see. And for those wanting more RPG in their Mario games, the RPG mechanics that some players desperately wanted to see back in the Mario universe can be found here. However, whereas Super Mario RPG was a relatively traditional example of its genre, Paper Mario deviates from expectations on more than one occasion. This is particularly evident in how the game looks, with graphics that resemble bright stickers meant for a scrapbook. Also in terms of how Paper Mario plays, utilising RPG mechanics and even with a sense of humour that does everything from break the fourth wall to evoking the kind of banter and silliness of a classic Looney Tunes short. It might not be for everyone, but Paper Mario remains a great example of how versatile the character had become even by the N64 days. You owe it to yourself to play Paper Mario at least once. Number 14, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. A brilliant remaster made better by assorted tweaks with basically a new game thrown in for good measure, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is essentially platforming fun for Switch fans. Everything about the Wii U title, one of the best released for that unfortunate console, is kept intact here. There's just so much added and improved upon, it can feel like you're playing a completely different release from the Wii U original. In some ways, you kind of are. The first 3D Mario game with 4 players and a chance to play as Luigi, Peach, Toad and others, teamwork is obviously the most enjoyable way to experience these worlds. Those worlds throw at players a striking combination of quite simple puzzles and serious platformer challenges. Bowser's Fury feels like the same sort of game, and to a certain extent it is, but there's more of an open world approach to things that makes for a thoroughly enjoyable bundle when combined with 3D World. Bowser's Fury makes for an interesting note on what the future may hold for 3D Mario titles, and we don't mean stuff like Daisy turning into a kaiju, though we think that weird clicking guy on Twitter wouldn't mind being stepped on by her. Number 13, Super Mario Maker 2. Being able to create and edit your own Mario levels naturally made Super Mario Maker a runaway success in 2015. Super Mario Maker 2 proved to be a superior sequel in every possible way, though maybe, just maybe, the first game's usage of the Wii U's gamepad means it's more intuitive? Maybe? Utilising backdrops, items and even aesthetics from a wide variety of titles featuring Mario, Luigi, Peach and the rest of the gang, you could build just about any sort of Mario level imaginable. As we've seen over the years from the levels made by fans ranging from a stiff challenge to what can feel like an eternal nightmare mode where everything is penises, the creative potential behind Super Mario Maker 2 is enormous. Multiplayer, a shockingly ample story mode, and the overwhelming and seemingly boundless catalogue of items and characters and more at your disposal makes Super Mario Maker 2 a classic of sheer potential. Even if you have the same levels of creativity as like the 9th American Pie movie, you can make yourself a lot of fun with this one. Number 12, Super Mario Bros. It's a testament to the stature and unshakable enjoyment still inherent in the DNA of Super Mario Bros. That it almost cracks the top 10 of the best Mario games even in 2024. You know the game, you know where the secret warp pipes can be found. Even the soundtrack for Super Mario Bros. Has a level of acknowledgement that goes beyond video games. Even people who haven't played a single video game in their lives, including this one and or Candy Crush, have a good chance of being able to recognise some or all of the pieces of this absolute classic. But when you pick up the controller to play Super Mario Bros, none of the above really matters anymore. You can almost effortlessly find yourself pulled into the experience even now. Even if it's only for a few minutes, although most of us know that if we're playing SMB in any form, we're going all the way to the end. Number 11, New Super Mario Bros. U. The first Mario game offered as a launch title for a Nintendo console since the N64, New Super Mario Bros. U is another great Wii U game whose only sin was being released on one of Nintendo's biggest failures. In other words, not as many people played this thrilling, spectacularly bright 2D Mario release as perhaps should have. It's good enough of a game to where it rightfully should have sold more consoles, but ultimately even Mario couldn't convince people to do just that. Apart from, of course, Mario Kart, which will still sell well when the banks collapse and we all have to use our Animal Crossing amiibo as currency in order to live. There's a controlled madness to games like New Super Mario Bros. U that makes it a blisteringly fun experience in multiplayer. However you choose to play this game, it's fun in every way a Mario game should be. Eventually, New Super Mario Bros. U got a very good port on the Switch that curiously kept the U in the title, so go play that if you can't find one of the 10 Wii U's you no doubt bought when it came out. Save some Wii U for the rest of us, guy! Number 10, Super Mario Bros. 2. 30 plus years since its release, and who honestly still cares that Super Mario Bros. 2 is easier than the Japan-only sequel, or that it's based on a very interesting on its own terms platformer called Doki Doki Panic. This is another Mario game in which it's difficult to find some unique praise to give it because it literally hasn't stopped receiving it since 1988. Besides proving that fans would follow the Italian stallion to different sorts of games, Super Mario Bros. 2 in a vacuum is a near perfect video game experience. Featuring 4 distinct characters, Mario, Luigi, Peach and Toad, with their own abilities and weaknesses, Super Mario Bros. 2 backs up its cute graphics with addictive play and challenges that are unexpected but not insurmountable. And that hasn't changed at all over time. It's a perfect introduction to old school Mario for the young, and it's still a lot of fun for the rest of us. Number 9. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. How does Mario continue to find relevance after several decades of uninterrupted popularity? It's not just nostalgia and good marketing. Games like the 2020 free hit Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the first game in many years without Charles Martinet as the voice of the plumber himself, takes what people fundamentally love about these characters and expands upon what we expect from a Super Mario release, and that means, oh yeah baby, it's elephant time. Other changes include new mechanics that combine seamlessly with classic platforming challenges, including bizarre power-ups, new enemies, a wider range of characters to choose from, and the fiendishly deep badge collecting that can change up the stages themselves in all sorts of ways. Time will obviously tell just how great Super Mario Bros. Wonder really is, but it's a safe bet to say in the present that this is one of the most popular recent Mario games to come down the pike. Or should that be pipe? People are responding to this enormously fun game more so than with any other 2D Mario game in quite a few years, and it's hard not to give it a high ranking on this list despite its young age, because elephant. Number 8. Super Mario 64. Seeing Super Mario 64 at number 8 might be controversial to some. However, Super Mario 64 and every other game from this point onwards are masterpieces of their time, place and console, so please stop throwing your N64 controller at us like some weird space alien boomerang. We ain't worth it. The differences between Super Mario 64, which features some of the best work of Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto's game-changing career, and anything after this is microscopic. Super Mario 64 is still a 3D adventure for Mario that pits the character against a dynamic and engaging universe of different worlds and degrees of difficulty. It was Mario's 3D debut, and no mascot character could ask for a better end result. Nope, back away, get back in your cage, back in your cage. Still, Super Mario 64 also retains its world-famous camera system, which remains a mixed bag almost 30 years on. There's some small hiccups in this game that time and technology would iron out, but what we have is still one of the best 3D platformers of all time, with a soundtrack absolutely full of bona fide whippers. Number 7. Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Marrying platform game logic to RPG elements with Super Mario RPG proved to be a late-stage SNES winner for collaborators Square and Nintendo. The last time the two companies would cooperate with one another for quite some time, Super Mario RPG grabs everything people expect from traditional Mario games and runs off with them in the direction of a unique plot surrounded by gameplay elements that were very foreign to Mario in 1996. Yet, with the best of Square behind it, Super Mario RPG was and remains a Mario game unlike any other in a way that means something profound for these characters and their flexibility. Even with its many unique characters, visual touches, playing style, and everything else it does differently, this somehow also feels like a definitive example of a great Mario game. If you've got a Switch, you owe it to yourself to at least try out its recent remake. Number 6. Super Mario Odyssey. Returning Mario to lush 3D worlds that he could explore completely, Super Mario Odyssey feels like something players haven't experienced in this form in quite some time, and something that we've remarkably not had that much of since Mario 64. I mean, this came out in 2017, where are like the new 3D Mario games? Nevertheless, there's something very simple about the basic concept of Mario visiting a stunning collection of worlds on a sprawling globe-trotting adventure. We don't get them often, but they're more often than not some of the best games of all time. That's no different here. The freshness of Super Mario Odyssey comes with a new system in the form of your ally Cappy's capture ability, which does everything from collect coins to possessing certain items and enemies to aid you in your quest. This is the most unique and exciting selling point for Super Mario Odyssey. There's also something initially shocking about the way the familiar interacts with the decidedly unfamiliar, but like everything else in Super Mario Odyssey, it grows on you almost immediately. It's remarkable that this joyful game reinvented Mario yet again without changing what matters most. Well, you can become a dinosaur in this one. That's new, and also very, very cool. More of that. Number 5, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Oh boy, I may not actually survive this one with my pronunciations as a Brit. For you Americans, wish me well. Luckily, the soul-crushing shrieks of Baby Mario are not enough to keep Super Mario World 2 from getting the respect it deserves. As one of many Yoshis tasked with rescuing baby Luigi, protecting baby Mario, and foiling the machinations of Kamek and baby Bowser, you're going to hear baby Mario cry every time he's separated from you, like an anime fan on prom night. Good news, that's almost certainly going to happen many times. But, and this is one of the biggest buts in gaming and we cannot lie, ask anyone who loves Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and that's pretty close to everyone who's ever played it, and they'll talk about everything else instead. They'll describe the quilted storybook graphics, intensely satisfying controls, and endlessly likeable banger of a soundtrack. They'll tell you Super Mario World 2 presents its own unique challenges while opening up the possibilities of a Mario game even further than what it was before. Number 4, Super Mario Galaxy 2. The only knock against Super Mario Galaxy 2 that most can come up with is that it's not the first one. That's a common complaint for an inferior sequel, but the thing is that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is only marginally inferior because its predecessor was a pretty much 100% perfect game. Even replicating that, which Super Mario Galaxy does with stunning, almost intoxicating creativity and grace, means that at worst it's a copy of one of the greatest video games ever made. To a large extent, that's exactly what Super Mario Galaxy 2 is. It's not quite Tears of the Kingdom levels of sequel with bells on, as you can't put Mario on a homemade motorbike and drive him through a ring of fire and make rocket swords out of bastard skellies. And again, that's perfectly fine. With minimal improvements and additions, Super Mario Galaxy 2 once again has us planet hopping in one of the most epic journeys in Mario history. It feels more like an extension of the first game than a sequel in many instances, and again, that really shouldn't be a problem for you. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is maybe the best dessert this industry has ever placed on its massive menu. Number 3, Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 is still a game capable of making you go, wow, when you fire it up. This is true for any version of the game that's been released to date, including the pitch-perfect port for the Game Boy Advance in the form of the Super Mario Advance series. The simple controls are easy to pick up for anyone, even if they've never played a video game ever. Shigeru Miyamoto's attention to accessible gameplay gives even the noobiest of newbies the ability to survive anything the game throws at them. This is one of his masterworks as a game creator, and that's saying something. For anyone who plays longer than the first few levels, the surprising visual touches and varied worlds reveal a depth of challenge and appeal that made Super Mario Bros. 3 the best-selling NES game that wasn't bundled with the console at 17+ million copies sold, and continues to make it a game that people of all ages still love to play today. Everyone should make it their mission to play through this once a year, like a Mario Thanksgiving, or at least like a pancake day of some kind. Number 2, Super Mario World. Super Mario World is as good today as it was over 30 years ago. Nintendo was facing criticism as the 1990s began, even if the release of F-Zero by the end of 1990 would prove once and for all that God does exist. But the company's announcement that its upcoming Super Nintendo Entertainment System would require different cartridges from those of its aging NES was pretty unpopular, with some wondering why they should bother with investing in a brand new console that would require entirely new games to enjoy it. Super Mario World almost entirely on its own answered that criticism. It continued Nintendo's momentum with Mario and Luigi showing off everything the 16-bit console could do at launch. Which, as it turned out, was a lot, giving Mario a lush, massive series of worlds to explore. Secrets, challenging bosses and castles, and new gameplay elements all create the impression that millions still have for Super Mario World. It's video game perfection. But it's not quite in the same universe as Number 1, Super Mario Galaxy. People get downright emotional when discussing Super Mario Galaxy. Described by some as one of the most enjoyable, moving and groundbreaking video games of the modern era, it's almost certainly one of the best games ever made for the Wii, utilising the often problematic controls of the console to such fantastic success that you might get even angrier at the many Wii games that didn't get those controls just right. God damn it, Red Steel, you were supposed to be the chosen one. Why is Super Mario Galaxy so good then? Why do so many believe it to be the best Mario game of all time? There's just so much to praise about it, from the way it uses the Wii controls, which translated nicely to the Switch for the recent 3D All-Stars port, to its exploration potential, and more specifically in the sense of how you explore your surroundings. Everything about Super Mario Galaxy elicits joy. The story, the graphics, the progression of collecting the 120 power stars found throughout the game. Everything here is worth your time. All of it amounts to something that can be sincerely described as a little bit moving. Video games as their own spectacular art form benefit from the very existence of Super Mario Galaxy. That might be a little bit hyperbolic for sure, but a game like Super Mario Galaxy stands above 19 other absolute classics for a good reason, and it's not just cause of Coach. But he does help. He does help. Do you know how often I had to go back and re-record because I said Mario, just because I didn't want to get bullied quite as much as if I said it the other way around? If I hear anyone critiquing the way I say Mario down in the comments down below, I'm going to set Luigi and Wario on you, okay? And that was our list for the 20 best Mario games of all time. What was too high? What was too low? Be sure to give Mario a happy birthday clap down below, and we'll catch you on the next one. I've been Jimmy for Cultured Vultures, just remember the name of the channel, and thank you for watching.